Good afternoon. Welcome to this edition of the Richard Urban Show. I'm your host, Richard Urban. Reporting to you from historic Harpers Ferry. We present news and views from God's point of view. So today we're very happy to have Tricia Jackson on. She is running for county commission on the Republican ticket. So please introduce yourself.
So I am Tricia Jackson. I'm running for County Commission, Harpers Ferry District on the Republican ticket. I will be on the Republican primary ballot. If you've already started with the early voting, which started yesterday, you probably saw my name on the back of the ballot. You can early vote between now and June 6th, and then the primary election is June 9th. So that's me.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, so I know you have experience, you're an entrepreneur, and, you're the Eastern Panhandle Business Association. I understand you're the president now.
Correct.
So, yeah, maybe tell us a little more about why, also in addition to maybe your background, why you're running. Why did you decide to run? What are the most important points you want to emphasize, as you're running for this position?
Okay. All right. So yeah, my background, I am a small business owner, an entrepreneur. I have an HR consulting firm called Next Generation Human Resource Solutions. I provide human resource services to small and emerging businesses in the Eastern Panhandle, Northern Virginia, Maryland, everything pretty much from hiring to performance-related issues, disciplinary action, terminations, handbooks, standard operating procedure manuals, benefits administration or management, just kind of a pillar of advisement to a lot of small businesses in managing their workforce. I commuted to Northern Virginia my career for about 25 years. I've been a lifelong resident of Jefferson County, so the commute became a bit too much. I've got my degree in business administration from Liberty University with a concentration in project management. So my experience actually spans human resources, project management, operations management, sales management, and nonprofit, IT, so networking, and service, managed services. So that's a little bit about my background. I decided that after meeting some small business owners in the area, my services could be used, or my services. So I came back home, started my own business, and that's what I've been doing this for about 3 years now. I work from home. I'm solopreneur, I guess you could say, because it's just me. But anyway, that's my background. I serve as chair on the Eastern Panhandle Business Association. So I am the first female chair. It's a PAC, a political action committee, actually, that engages with a lot of our legislators that actually go to Charleston. We put polls or surveys out to members on things that they would like the governing body to present or to work with legislators on to keep the Eastern Panhandle or make the Eastern Panhandle a business-friendly environment. So we want to get regulations out of the way that we can, just so businesses can grow and thrive in the area. So we're support our voice for businesses in the Eastern Panhandle to work with those legislators. In addition to that, I serve as vice chair on the Jefferson County Emergency Services Agency Board.
Okay.
So I've been on there for almost 2 years. I am chair of their audit committee. So I'm really engaged and involved with our first responders, hands-on, particularly with emergency services. So after being on that board for about 1.5 years, I was prompted to run. You, as well as myself, live in a rural area of the county where services aren't always abundant or readily available to meet our needs. There are other outlying areas in the county as well. So one of the things prompted me to run, government gets bigger. It's my big thing. Government's getting bigger, demanding more of our money, dipping their hands into our pockets. Services
Right.
are getting smaller. So I lend a lot of my human resource, project management, those types of experiences to the Emergency Services Agency in helping them do some things around hiring and policies and procedures and that sort of thing. So I want to lend my experience, my skill set to the county and help try to get some things in order. I've seen firsthand, through sitting through budget meetings and so forth, wasteful spending. I believe that our emergency services personnel, that's fire, rescue, police, should be priority in any budget for our county in providing those services, essential services to the county. And I've sat through budget meetings where they're begging and pleading, rather it's operational
Okay.
staff.
How is the health of our emergency service? I mean, meaning like, yeah, how is the status of it? I saw somewhere, maybe it was in the recent commission history or recent years, or some argument over increasing or decreasing a fee for $5. But anyway, I don't know if you want to comment on that, but how in general is it going, with the emergency services in Jefferson County?
So you're talking about the ambulance fee, which I don't believe was adequately or appropriately, should I say, presented to the residents and why it was needed. So that money comes in to hire staffing, the paramedics, the EMTs that run on the ambulances. The apparatus itself is owned by the fire departments. So you're actually paying the salaries and the running of the personnel of that agency through that ambulance fee. So someone calls for an ambulance and they pay an ambulance fee of $35, $40 a year, but they still are billed for use of that ambulance because that's the apparatus, the gear, all the equipment and everything on that ambulance is used as well. So we're not adequately staffed in the county to have 24/7 coverage at every one of our volunteer fire departments. Which brings me to, recently the county commission has talked about, been toying with for about a year now, a fire fee, implementing a fire fee. And one of the things they want to do is take the operational funds that the county currently provides to the volunteer fire departments, keep the lights on and all that sort of stuff, because they are volunteers. None of those are paid firemen.
Right.
They want to redirect those funds to build a new county government facility.
That sounds crazy.
Yes, absolutely. So that's one of the things I'm adamantly against. Anything that's going to strap or saddle our taxpayers and our residents with fees and taxes, that's not necessary. I don't feel it's necessary. The county government so the emergency services personnel, or the director of emergency services, recently sat through budget negotiation with the county commission asking for, now the list that he was asking for of personnel in order to staff 24/7 at these fire departments was a wish list from the fire departments. That's where they got the numbers of how many people they needed. Based on calls, number of calls, call volume, saturated areas of residency, and that sort of thing. So he sat and there was a number of 27 personnel. So he presented that to the county commission because he's the voice for emergency services personnel. And the sky was falling to the county commissioners, right? So you go in knowing you're not getting 27, but if you can get 3 or 4, great. Still not adequate, but great. And he had to beg for 3 or 4. So these transfer fees that the county charges, transfer fees related to property transfers and so forth, they brought in $175,000, $200,000 in transfer fees that they redirected elsewhere that could have easily had covered a couple of that head count. When they talk about cutting, they go after emergency services. They go after the fire, the operations for fire. They go after those things. They don't think about cutting in other ways or tightening the purse strings. So part of my background too, that I shared it in the journal, you know, I was a single parent at one time. I know what it's like to operate and to raise a child within my means. And at the end of the day, if there's no money, there's no money there, you know? So I didn't have an ATM machine to go and just get endless supply of money. And that's how I think county government sees us citizens right now. When, oh, we spent to the max, we have a $0 budget, we want to do something else, or citizens now demanding a service they're already paying for. Well, you know, we don't have it in the budget. We need more money. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Right.
That's why I'm running.
Okay. Well, one thing I noticed on Memorial Day, I went down with a friend to Moulton Park, and I noticed they had removed all the picnic tables, and I was aghast. So I assume, or that was because the park supposedly closed, although there were quite a lot of people there anyway.
Right.
At least they didn't throw them in jail, huh? But anyway, there was no picnic tables and no porta potty. And I said, what a waste of our money.
Yep.
So do you have any insight on that? Like how did I guess the health department, the parks department, help me out here. So would that fall under the purvey of the commissioner? Why are they wasting our money taking the tables out? Thousands of dollars, I guess. That's ridiculous.
Right.
Can you help us? Help me, whatever.
So here's basically how the bureaucracy kind of works. You know, you get orders from the governor on the recent events with this COVID-19. You get the orders from the governor, which does roll down to the county and county commission. Now, county commission appoints and fills the board seats, including the health department. So at some point, there was a little bit of carte blanche with the health department or the health director on what was going to be allowed, what wasn't going to be allowed. I think there were some things that happened that were overreaching to some businesses and things in the area that made the county commission step in and say, hey, now we probably need to, you know, reevaluate this or look at this. But for all intents and purposes, the county commission steps back. They appoint these boards and these committees to do their jobs because they're specialized in those areas. There just need to be a little bit more common sense approach to things and not necessarily just, you know, jumping off the deep end and
yeah.
You know.
So you're saying that the commission has authority, like ultimately over the health department and the, but it's deferred to a committee on the commission or something like that?
Yeah, so like Emergency Services Agency Board, I sat before the county commission and was interviewed by them in order to be nominated or placed on that board. So they do fill board seats and committee seats. There is criteria to follow for that as far as qualifications to sit on those seats. So they do subject citizens and people that sit on those boards or committees to an interview process and a qualification process. But they appoint them and allow them to do their jobs. So they don't necessarily micromanage it, but they step in, I think, if things get a little bit out of control. Mm-hmm. So I don't have an answer for you as to why they spent the money to remove the porta potties or shut the bathrooms down, or
not just that, they actually unchained. They must have to cut the chains and took out all of the picnic tables.
Yeah. I don't really have an answer for you as to why that was done.
I assume it was to prevent people from gathering.
Yeah.
So they supposedly prevent COVID. Anyway, are you concerned about like the overreach of the governor or government period, like with the COVID-19 thing? I mean, that seems over the top to me. I mean, if people okay, the county could say, hey, you're not supposed to gather, but first of all, I think that's dubious to begin with. It's rather random. Hey, is it 5 people? Is it 10 people? 25? And why can you get in a car with 5 people and not sit at a picnic table or 6
Yeah,
people? It's all random. And then wasting your tax money anyway. Are you concerned about these kind of overreaches, you know?
I am. I believe in less government, limited government. I don't believe the government should get involved in every intricate detail of our lives. I am concerned about overreach. Some people like that, but I think the majority of the people like their freedom and like to be able to make their own decisions on, you know, yeah, I'm going to go out and I'm not going out. Speaking of the COVID-19 thing, and I'm sorry, I'm not, well, I was going to say I'm not going to pick on them, but I am going to pick on them. So if you haven't gone into Walmart on a good day before this virus came and caught something, but you can go, you know, there's no regulations or overreach on going into Walmart any given day now. I don't understand the other stipulations being
Right.
on citizens.
Yeah. Well, I agree with you. So I'm wondering on the county level, like it seemed like the health department, I assume, well, actually, I don't know the process. I'm kind of asking. I assume the health department told the parks, hey, shut down. Hey, remove the tables. It's like, or the parks maybe decided to do that. I mean, what's going on? It's crazy.
So, you know, what concerns me about the health department kind of like being overreaching, as a small business owner, I'm very passionate about helping and propping up small businesses, helping them grow and thrive in this county. It's something that's been lacking for a long time. So it's no coincidence I mentioned Walmart because that's
Right.
Walmart, right? But you've got, you know, there's several small businesses in the area, particularly restaurants or food service, and they have been like a ping pong ball in this whole thing, particularly with direction from the health department. You can open, but you can only have, you know, 10 people in. And then while you can't open in, you can open out. And so they go to the extent of having picnic tables or some type of outside seating so they can open because their business has been closed for several weeks. And then I visited an establishment the other day. It's a small business because they just opened back up where they could do 50% capacity. And so I call to make sure that do I need a reservation? Are you at max? Like, is there a wait? Whatever, before I even go out. And no problem, got a reservation. I need you to wear a mask across the threshold into the business. Use the hand sanitizer that's sitting at the door, but then you can take your mask off when you get to the table. I'm like, what sense does that make?
Who made up that rule? That's great. Yeah, I had one almost joke. It's like, okay, you want to eat dinner with a mask on. Okay, anyway. Yeah, it's too much. I mean, let people decide on their own, but I'm saying, you know, maybe what is a county? Maybe we should push back a little. Like say, hey, governor, you know, I mean, really, you know, your things are kind of random. We're not going to do that or something. I don't know.
That's where some of these decisions that are made lack the common sense. You know, there's another business this blows my mind too, but there's another small business that could open at 50% capacity, but had to switch to all paper products or plastic products in order to serve. It's like, so now you have to change your whole mode of operation and go to added expense. So great, you get money from the SBA to help, you know, keep you going, but now you got to change the way you operate your business in order to open back up. So it's absorbing that money. So some of them just decided, I'm going to stay closed until I can do 50% capacity inside. It's just, and then I think about, okay, now you got to change to plastic. When there was a war on plastic, like what, a year ago? On banning plastic bags and all that. So it's like, what's that doing for our environment?
Yeah.
And you got copious amounts of trash. So
I agree. Yeah, we can push back on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and improving base service is important. I noticed the other day I wanted to drop something at the dump. It wasn't a scale item. And there was like, so it was like a TV monitor thing. And there was like 25 flat screen TV, 25 cars. So I just backed up and turned around. But the point about it is, if we can improve services, hey, maybe separate the services like where you don't need the scale. I've had that happen another time. I just dropped oil off. I had to wait 10 or 15 minutes and I found out the oil thing was closed. What if I waited, fortunately I got out of there 2-3 hours and they said, oh, I'm sorry, we're not taking TVs today. We're at capacity. I mean, it seems like basic service like that should be improved.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, I do want to ask you one other thing. About the whole, there's been controversy about over the last couple of years, Jefferson County Development Authority, the whole Rockwell thing. It wasn't transparent.
Right.
So how do you see the role of Jefferson County Development Authority? And also a related question would be, what role, if any, does the commission play, with the ongoing legal issues that people are filing, whatever, around Rockwell?
Yeah. So I'll be the first to say, I don't think Rockwell was a good fit for our county, but they're coming. I don't think there's anything that can be done to stop them. They've done the things they've needed to do in order to get this business up and going. So I think they're coming. I don't really know right now what role the county would play in legal fees or any type of action related to any legalities around some of these groups. I know the Board of Education was going to take up a lawsuit or was trying to take up a lawsuit and petition the county commission, who has oversight on the elections, to run a special election or, for funding and put it out. Or increase levy rates because they're spending money elsewhere. So I don't really know what involvement the county would have legally or to stop a lawsuit, or I wouldn't support any funding of a lawsuit of a business coming here.
But on the role of like how it happened, one thing that seemed to be occurring is, correct me if I'm wrong, the whole Jefferson County Development Authority resigned at one point. Right. And I was reading on not your website, but the county commission website, the commission's website, that authority is appointed by or under the county commission. Yes. So it seemed like people didn't know about what was it, the pilot agreement, and didn't know about the change about the properties. I guess that was the city of Branson. Right. Changed from a residential development. Right. They got $1 million for developing a plan for residential, whatever, not commercial, retail, right, to this industrial. But obviously the development authority knew about that and was trying to bring these people, but it seemed like they weren't telling anybody else, or something seemed right to be wrong there. Do you have any comment on that?
I'm a proponent for small business, and I know Rockwell comes in as or labeled as a small business, and under federal government they are a small business. But I consider small business, 50 people or less, 100 people or less. I'm for businesses coming here, and I'm for rebuilding the development authority, to be specific to your question. I'm all for transparency and communication. It's how do you get that mode of communication out so that people are aware. We're in an age of technology. You can have a website, you can do email blasts. You heavily rely on people to go to the internet. We have a huge demographic that doesn't use internet. Or we have a lot of people that travel out of the community to work. They commute. It's how do you get that information out there? But at the same time, you elect people to county commission to appoint people to these boards, and that board's tasked with doing a job, just like the health department. So You know, you've got a set of standards or you've got a set of guidelines for which you court businesses to come to the area. What are they? What do they look like? You know, what is a fit for our community? We can't be a bedroom community. We just can't. That means citizens are going to bear the burden of the growing government in taxes and fees. So we need a strong business base that's going to pay business taxes to help keep the cost of living here, which is why a lot of people move here from the metropolitan area, is quality of life and cheaper taxes and lower cost of living. But then if you don't have a strong business base, it's going to be right what you move from. So then where are you going to go? You're going to keep going west.
Right.
You know, not only that, as an advocate for small businesses to provide amenities and services to our residents, that's activities that, I mean, anything and everything that you might need as a homeowner, or some services to our youth that, you know, hopefully keep them out of trouble, keep them off the streets, something for them to do. I'm just very passionate about getting small businesses up and going and things that fit the county and creating some jobs. Not everybody that currently commutes to Northern Virginia or into Maryland, into DC, can become an entrepreneur. I mean, they can, but not everybody has the desire or the drive to do that. So what do you feel about creating jobs? So one of the things I did speak to a gentleman about not long ago at a restaurant. We've got tons of space out in Bardane, and the county owns some of those buildings, but there's land to be developed. What about a data center? There's no smokestacks. You know, if you can put the right infrastructure in here for technology, broadband, and all of that, what's wrong with a data center? I mean, they're growing hand over fist because everything's, you know, going to the cloud. So data center, stuff like that, you don't have to worry about the environmental impact as much as you do someone with, you know, a smokestack or runoff or something of that nature.
Definitely. Yeah, I agree. I think it's a bad fit. But yeah, I just kind of wondering how it's playing out in the long run. I know some things are ongoing. Okay, well, you know, I know you have an opponent in the primary. You know, how would you like compare yourself, or meaning like, why would voters choose you over your opponent? How do you differentiate yourself?
So, one, my wealth of experience, I'm a small business owner, human resource management, project management, operations management, lifelong resident. I know what used to be here. I know what's not here anymore. So I've got a lot to offer and a lot to bring to the table. And I'm very passionate about giving our residents a voice and representing them. I never thought I'd get into government, but I'm just tired. I'm tired. I can only imagine other people out there just being tired and feeling hopeless and like nothing can be done. My opponent ran in 2018, I believe it was, for the same seat and was defeated. He is currently a P card field representative for the state auditor's office. So, and he represents, or he's out in this area. So he helps municipalities and county governments, and he helps them or encourages them to switch to what's called the P card, which is like it's a purchase card. So it's loaded with like a credit card. I think you get 1.25% rebate on it if you use that. So he'd like to see all expenses for the state or the local government go on that. My main concern with him, given his current profession, which from what I understand, he has no intent of resigning from if he's successful in getting into county commission, is how do you sit on the county commission board or county commission seat and set a budget for the very dollars you're going to help the government spend? That's a conflict of interest to me. I don't have that conflict. The only thing I am in this for personally is I don't want to part with more of my money. I don't want to spend more money on
Mm,
services that I'm not receiving.
right.
That's it. I'm out to represent everybody in this county to hopefully bring some transparency to the governments, open, honest dialogue, communication. I want them to feel heard and listened to. I might not always have the answer, but we'll work to get it. If I don't have it, or if it's something, I want to hear what they think and what they say, and help them understand if it's something that cannot be done, why it cannot be done.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, that's good. So I do urge everyone to get out and vote on June 9th. And any other closing comments you have or anything you'd like to share?
Just vote Tricia Jackson, County Commission, Harpers Ferry District. I'm on the back of the ballot. Again, you can vote, early vote between now and June 6th at the courthouse, or hopefully I'll see you at the polls on June 9th.
Okay, very good. So yeah, do get out and vote June 9th. We'll put this up on video and podcast. Hopefully people will view it and make an informed decision. So thank you for joining us today. I'm your host, Richard Urban from Historic Harpers Ferry, and we will see you next time.